Hello folks, welcome back, and I'm really excited to publish my new video. This is gonna be on my new web series that is called AWS Associate Level Certification Preparation. So I have decided to prepare videos, literature, and the hands-on lab and publish into my YouTube channel for each module of AWS certification. So this is gonna be very interesting because I'm gonna cover IAM, roles and permissions, and user groups. So let's get started without any further delay. Um, I have prepared some of the literature on Medium, and you can view this literature on my GitHub repository for the AWS Associate Prep material. I'm gonna put these all GitHub links and Medium story links in down my description of this video. So I'm taking you through that Medium story, which is more in detail about the the actual authentication mechanism behind that all the web application, and it is like most common and most appropriate in current standards. So let me take you here. So you can see this is my medium story, and you can go there. So I'm going to represent you about that. Before going to cover an AWS certification, I have picked identity and access management module of the AWS, which is you. So in a typical web application, what happens when user hits any website? So there is a two-way of communication of authentication when they might be redirect you to third party wherever whatever they are availing the service, whether it is Azure AD, whether it is a Salesforce IDP, whether there is any uh, hosted pages like any like you can access my resource by via LinkedIn, GitHub login, so that kind of that way. But I'm covering very generic and very high level over here, but it is most appropriate and suitable to most of the thing. So user hits a website, and this website basically we have like in typically Java application we have interceptors and filters who's are intercepting the request and sending through that authentication service. So in the authentication service, it checks that first of all, like when it invokes the authentication service and authentication service identify that username and passwords are correct, then it redirect you for the level of checks. If it is if user ID and password is incorrect, then it is either showing you any error message or any sign up or registration page. It can be redirect, so it could be another service. In terms of the microservice, if it is a monolith application, everything is in one user module, so it is going to be redirect you over there. Otherwise, if your username and passwords are correct, then it is going to redirect you further level. So there is a nowadays there is a mechanism which is identify that your authentication is done successfully, but your login or authentication process has been suspected. So if it is suspected, so most of the common patterns you can identify that social media accounts or internet banking accounts. So when they have found that you are not accessing your application through the common IPs, like as usual IPs, as usual devices, then it is going to identify you as a suspected login and redirect you to further uh, advanced authentication mechanisms. So it could be any different service which is called like advanced authentication service, which is asking you some of the security question which you are going to set on the registration page, or organization may put some of the question like they are going to ask you date of birth, or they are going to ask you about profile password or secure password kind of stuff, or they may ask you that enter your last digit of mobile number so that you can get OTP. So they gonna verify that you are a correct person and they are sending you the OTP. So these are other the advanced authentication services which can be suspected and redirect to you. So once it is a suspected, then you can see uh, also another counter kind of things would be there, where you can see that counter is going to update. So sometimes you see that in your internet banking or trading account websites, when you log in and it push you to the advanced authentication system, then you try one answer for your one security question which is not correct, then it is asking you second, or then for the third. But after third, it's going to block your login for certain time period. Like try after some time, or try it 5 minutes later, or try it 24 hours later, because it is going to reset back again automatically. So these are like typically advancement in your authentication authorization of the application. But if I'm coming back, like advanced authentication is all done, then all tell you that. So when your security questions has been answered incorrectly, then it is going to redirect to the permission. So it is also the follow up the process when your account is not suspected, it is redirected to the permission verification or permission service, so which where user is authenticated but not yet allowed to access a resource. For accessing a resource, what do you need to do? We need to write a particular permission service which verifies that okay, user is Saurabh, belongs to a developer group, and it has access of some of the right access, like code repositories can be write access, and S3 bucket should be a read access, and EC2 instances access should be a read access, and any like log access would be a read only access. So that defines in the permission. I'll take you this all permission user group in the AWS uh, IAM module. So once permission verifies that permission is granted, if permission is granted, then it is redirected to the my account service or whatever the pages end page decide, like home page, where you can access the resources like or options of particular web application, mobile application. So if it is permission is not granted, so it is depend on the business requirement. It is going to be show you one home page which saying that with limited access or limited, like you might have home button and you have a sign out button, and it is saying that you don't have you have limited permission. Please contact your administrator for getting more access. Or it can be tell you that with the message land you on the home, it allow you to land on the home page successfully, but it will show you information message, the you don't have permission to access such resources, please contact administrator. So this is a typical flow of user authentication and authorization service. Now I'm going to take you back again on this story where I'm going to tell you about that how all these things are happening. So I've explained here who is actor, like actor could be anyone, agent, user, or employee, anyone, and how it is pushing to authentication, because all the resources tagged by the hard login. So it could be possible on like typical e-commerce website. You surf a lot of web pages, but sooner you reach out to a specific web page, and it is pushing you to log in into the system. Let's take an example. You can surf any website for e-commerce website, and you can add products in the cart, but sooner you clicked on the checkout button, it forces you to log in or register page, right? So it happens through the hard login and authentication service I have explained here. So permission service. So these things are in detail which I have mentioned here. Let's not go into the deep dive for these things. I'm going to cover the AWS IAM policies inheritance and IAM policies in inline policies over here. So all the literatures are available on this medium, and I shown you this one also. So this is also in detail where I have explained about it, and I'm going to upload some of the policy and some of the module labs code over there. And let's take without any further delay, let me take you the AWS console. So when I take you the AWS console, so you can see um, this is my AWS console, and you can see my user is not a root user, because the first rule in AWS application or AWS management, if you are an admin architect or um, like very senior level who is having or owning the AWS platform, so first thumb rule is that you should not log in by your root account. You should have to create a particular new user via a root account and assign as an admin group. So what I have done, I have created my admin user, and I'm logging in into this AWS management console through my admin user. So you can see here, if I am going to be logging through my root user, it is not going to show you this value, it is going to show you the root user value. So that's the difference. Now I'm going to take you to IAM service. So this is a search bar where what service I want to use, I can use it. Then I'm going to click on the IAM service, and it is going to take me to the IAM service dashboard where I can see how many user group I have, how many users I have, how many roles I have, how many policies, how many identity providers. So identity providers means if I am going to integrate any Salesforce IDP, Azure AD, or any third parties that going to be showcased here, like Amazon Cognito as well I can use, but I'm not going to cover in this module. So first of all, I'm going to take example of the codes of AWS certification. So I'm going to create some 6 users according to my uh, document also. So this is this is my user like admin, but you cannot see the any detail related to my root user account over here. So this is more secure way of using our AWS management console. So let me take you to here back. So I'm going to create 7 user. So okay, 6 users: Alice, Bob, Charles, David, Edward, and Fred. And these all 6 users belonging are three basic groups. So I'm going to create 3 user groups: developers, audit team, and operations. So let me take this creation, and I'm going to show you that how we can create this user here. So first of all, we need to click on add user. I need to give that name of Alice, and I have to click on that because I have to provide, because these are the developers, I have to provide them a console access. So we can define the specify a user in identity center recommended, and I want to create an IAM user. So I don't want to create them as a IAM user. If I wanted to create them IAM user, they can access the management console as I'm using it. So I don't want to give them. I have to go the next. Okay. So I'm going to create this. I want to create an IAM user custom password. I can click on the auto generate also. It is going to be create alphanumeric complicated password. Otherwise, I'm going to create this. So I'm going to define some of the password. I can see this password also. Going to click on next. Don't save. So it is asking me that which group I'm going to add this user. So as of now, I don't have any user. I'm not going to create this user also. So mm, let me create a group. So I'm going to create a developer group, developers developer group, and it is gonna ask me some of the policies. So let me type S3, search for S3. I wanted to give them S3 read only access, so I'm going to read only add them as a read only access. So it is on the fly, it is going to create developer user group also, and I'm going to add this user into the uh, developer group, which is having one policy applied over there. So, and don't forget to create tag also. Tags will help you for searching users and user groups easily. So suppose I'm going to create one department tag, department, and this will be a developer or like engineering group. Okay, so I'm going to click on the create user, and you can see this user detail. I can send it through the email also. So whatever email is I'm gonna pass here, it is going to send this email to this particular user with his or her password and login detail. Like they wanted to access the console, so they have to pass this console URL, username and password. So I'm going to create the user list. Also, there's also one of the option that we can download as a CSV also this information. So whatever fine to you, you can do it this. So I'm going to return on the user list now. So you can see that there is another user, and you can see that it belongs to a group, never active. So there is no activity for this user as of now. I do not applied any multi-factor authentication for this user. Password is none. So I'm going to add another user. So this and this gonna be interesting because this user is not going to be belong to any user group, and this user will have a policy attached to itself, and this kind of the policy called as inline policy. So I'm not gonna choose this option now. I'm not gonna choose this option now. I'm gonna choose this attach policy directly. So I need to select the policy from here because this could be any admin or architect position. So I'm going to give him S3 bucket full access, um, full access, and cloud trail. Okay, let's stick with one group. Okay, so I'm going to add it. However, it did not allow me to give name policies inline, but in my one of the example in this example, you can see that I have given one inline policy for Fred. So this is inline policy, and you can see that I have created one policy which is inline policy. So not an issue. Let's go with that. So what is gonna happen? I have three user group: admin, developer, and operation. I have six users. Just forget leave this user. So I have six different users. So these all six users, how it is behaving, this thread is having inline policy. You can see it does not belong to any user group. However, none of the users gets logged into the system. That's why it is showing the last activity is never. And this is recommended we should apply the multi-factor authentication for each user. So for this example, I'm not covering this multi-factor authentication, but now I can assign these users to different groups. So you can see these three people, users belongs to a developer group, and these two users belongs to operation. So n- what if any one of the develop any of one of the user is part of two different group, two common groups. So if I am going to open, suppose Charles, or like let's take an example again for David, and I'm going to open this user, and you can see that it is having two permissions applied and group. So here what is the important point? I'm not attaching policy to a specific to user. I'm attaching the policies to this particular developer group, So this group is owning the policies basically. So if I wanted to add user to a group, I'm going to also add uh, to group because it is part of operations. So I want to allocate him to different group also. So you can see now David is a part of the developer group and David is also part of the operations group. So what if now David will have the all access which operation team has, and David also having access what developer has. So this kind of the policies and roles called like inherit policies and inherit roles. So this is one of the important segment. So you have to focus. This is an example of this. And if I'll take you here, so this is what I'm trying to highlight here in this course as well. So David is a part of two group. One is the developer group, sorry, developer group and audit team group, sorry, operations group. So that's how it is going to be happen. And if I'm going to create this and going to user, I'm going to add Edward also. So Edward is part of the operation and Charles is a part. So now I'm going to add Charles. Okay. So if I open Charles, and you can see if I'm going to look into the group, I can add him also in the operation group. Okay, so he is also going to share same two groups, so it is going to share inherit policies. So that's all guys for this in this section. So in further detail you can also view this um this I am a literature available on the identity and access management where it is defining more in detail about the principles and requests. So however the course is not going in detail and it is more the associate level, not like developer level. If you're pursuing developer level, then yes, you can go through this diagram and which is already available on my asset. So you can see here I have test this, and this is a typical policy document which you can see. So in our regular way of best practice in DevOps team, we don't do go through that through the management console. We would rather prefer to write a JSON format, uh, JSON format policy and push into that repository so that we can have a versioning of these policies which is going to be upgrade for certain user. So it is not like that somebody went logged in and did some changes but nobody knows who did it. So that's the best way to track your policy upgradations. So that's all guys. You can follow me on GitHub, you can follow me on Medium, you can also follow me on LinkedIn. So thank you guys.